Oh, be well, send them with a little something, So what I think is, if everyone that is the light of the world would be on and say, I'm going to contribute something a month. I don't care if it's $1. I mean, can you do a bank draft for $1? I'll bet you could. But if it's $1 a month, it's something. And we'll put it to great use. We've got a ton of work to do. So if you're not doing that yet, and probably most people in this room, I don't know. I think most people in this room probably aren't. But if you're not, take one of those little forms, pray about it. If you have a spouse, talk about it with them, and think, is there something that we want to contribute financially to help? We have quite a few people that we view as really key partners in this, and they do, some of them do 50 or 100 or sometimes even more a month. It all depends on your state in life and your ability. But if someone did, $10 a month, if everyone in this room did $15 a month, travel-wise, for one person to travel and do an overnight somewhere, with airfare and everything, it's about $700, And they're not paying. For you all to go, you've got that covered, right? The parishes say, we're in. We want them. We'll pay money for them to come and cover the expenses. For what we're doing on the front end, it's not like that, right? Because we're going and doing the convincing. So prayerfully consider, but thank each and every one of you for everything you're doing. Really, really appreciate it. And have a good day.
Thank you, Brian. So imagine you're the pastor, you're fired up, right? I want this retreat, right? So you say yes, then what happens? Mike's going to walk us through that part.
I hear, right? What am I going to get out of this from the travel team standpoint? That's what we're here for. So, Brian's got the whole thing fired up. He's got a parish that says, we're in. We want to have a Light of the World retreat. What happens next? What happens next? Joellen works with the pastor, starts talking to the pastor, and the first thing that happens is called an information day. Some of you might know about these and have done them before, some of you may not. So first thing that happens is there's an information day. And what that means is that we have 2 people that go to the parish. We would like it to be, if possible, a person who's going to be that parish's potential main evangelizer, and then someone else, hopefully someone who has some experience doing them, but depending on the numbers of retreats that Brian wrestles up, we may have to stretch that a little bit, okay? But there's an information day. The information day, the pastor is encouraged to get his core there, okay? Because that's who he's going to start with. That's going to be his core team. That's going to be his leadership team. Basically, who's going to put on the first retreats for his parish? Who's going to get this whole thing started? So Joelle's going to be talking to him. Once a main evangelizer is assigned to a parish and they're starting to talk about setting a date for an information day, you're working with the pastor, talking to the parish leadership, the parish staff, convincing them that it's really important that they have the right people at this event, at this information day. The information day is typically on a Saturday morning, and it can last between 2 and 3 hours. Usually we do it from 9 till noon. You can do it from 10 till noon. It can be done in a couple hours. Okay. Sherry just did one with me not that long ago. It's not that difficult, right, Sherry? I mean, I called Sherry and we talked about it and we were able to make it happen. There are 3 talks that happen on the information day. If you've done more than one retreat or been on more than one retreat, you can do these talks no problem. They're really quite easy. I mean, it's just the basics of the retreat. It's talking about why do we evangelize and how do we evangelize, and then what is the retreat process? What does the process look like? And then how do we actually do a retreat? What does it require? What does it entail? Okay. So it's a quite easy thing to do, and there are some talks. There's some talk outlines. Again, they're very simple. They don't really take a lot of preparation. They really don't. You use some of your own personal testimony that you use in your other talks that you've already done, and you get them a little. Your job is to really get them fired up, and get them committed to go and start up Light of the World retreats. Okay, so that's the key of the information day. Okay, so it's getting a commitment. Okay, so after the information day. yourself or Joellen or Brian will be following up with the pastor, following up with the team there, and hopefully getting them to commit to do a retreat. Okay, so part of that process, and John maybe talked a little bit about it early on. There is a cost, okay, and we can fill you in. We will fill you in on how the process works with the cost. There's a license fee that's involved in doing Light of the World now. Is how we're doing it, and we won't get into a lot of the details of that right now. I don't think, unless
it's pretty simple. And that's the new piece, because parishes never had to pay up front before. So now they pay between $2,000 and $10,000 one time, depending on the size of the parish, depending on the number of registered parishioners. It almost comes to $1 per registered family. So if it's a 5,000 registered family parish, they're going to pay $5,000 one time up front, if they can. We will not refuse any parish that can't pay that fee, but that's what we're going to ask for. And it starts at 2, so between $2,000 and $10,000.
Is that before or after the information?
Varies. Probably after, once they commit to that retreat date. We want to have that money like 30 days prior to their retreat.
We don't spring it on late. We tell them up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just didn't know. You know, before you got to the door, they knew that cost was going
Okay, so then now we're getting ready to start the retreat process. Okay, so Joellen will be working to put together a team that will go on that retreat, and that's what we're asking you to be involved in. Okay, and let's talk about what that means. What that means for you as a travel team person. Okay, the core of the travel team is 2 people. Is 2 people, a main evangelizer and an evangelizer. Okay. And then we also need, on the first retreat, we need 2 additional evangelizers. So we need 4 people to go on our first retreat, okay? And this first retreat is done at their parish, of course, and you're basically just doing the retreat for them. Okay, you're doing the retreat for them. So you say, okay, there's 4 people. Now I know on the retreat there's a lot of stuff that has to happen and go on, okay? So there's a lot of things that you end up doing on that first retreat, okay, beyond just being an evangelizer. You may be an evangelizer, and you may also be a shepherd, and you may also be doing a little hospitality, and you might also be doing a little chapel. You might be doing a little music if you have that gift. If not, you take Sue's CD with you, which I've done several times, and use that as your music, okay? But you're starting out with that core team, okay? That's the start of the first retreat, okay? And you're putting the retreat on for them. The second retreat, 2 people go on that retreat. The main evangelizer and 1 evangelizer go on that retreat. The other 2 evangelizers now come from that parish. And also all the shepherds and the hospitality team and all the other teams that are required all come from that parish, okay? And then there's a third retreat. You're committed to a third retreat, and on that one, at least the main evangelizer goes. The second person can go if they want to. And that third retreat, that parish puts on the whole retreat. They have their own main evangelizer, they have their own evangelizers. They put on the whole retreat, and you're just there in an advisory role. An advisory role. So if something comes up, they have a question about something, the schedule's messed up. They need help with something, you're just encouraging them, and so forth and so on. In this whole process, in this whole time, you're basically just modeling the retreat from them, okay? So it's a modeling process, okay? Everyone here has been on several retreats, so you know how the retreat goes. You're just modeling the retreat for them, as basic as it is, okay? There's a couple keys to that. One is that we want to model the retreat in its most basic form. That means that it starts on Friday evening. It goes all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and ends on Monday evening. And that's how we want it. When at all possible, that's how we want to model retreat. There is a model that's possible that starts on Saturday morning, Sunday, and Monday, and eliminates Friday night. Okay, and there are some cases where that may be necessary. But if possible, we'd like to model the way the retreat was designed in a 4-day process, okay? And we know that in all your individual parishes, the retreat becomes embellished a bit, right? There's